and I come back tomorrow for the European, no, not for the European, for the World Design Organization conference in Valencia, because Valencia is a World Design capital. And I'm doing a presentation on the academic conference on circular economy there.
That's fantastic. Very good. Congratulations on that, and enjoy the Madrid. I've never been in Madrid, but I've been in Barcelona, but I think Madrid will be a very different city.
Yeah, well, I thought, you know, I needed to see the Prado before I die.
That sounds good. Hopefully you will not be dying soon, because I think it'll be really nice to have you actually to do one of these talks, Bridget. Because you've written a lot about design skills around the strategies.
Yeah.
And I think looking at some of the writing you did in the past and having as a talk here would be really good. We had Fascara. We had a Fascara. He was talking about a paper he written 20 years ago. Yeah, and it was excellent because the reason it was excellent is because it still touched lots of points. What he's written, 2 decades ago, it was still the case today. So, and I'm sure there's lots of things.
Yeah. Well, it's same in a way with my model. You know, when you think of it, it was done, 20 years ago, and I made it again last year, 20 years later, and the variables are still pertinent. But I was your ambassador on 2 days ago on the Design Policy Conference about the importance of design literacy.
Yeah, and fantastic. You can tell us more. Why don't you tell us about the design literacy about it a little bit more? Bridget?
What?
Just briefly, tell me about what did you have to say about design literacy?
Well, I'm going to be very short, but I said to them, "Are you humans? Are we humans? If we actually say to humanity that we are human-centered, and only 5% of humanity knows what we do. So I don't think we are humans."
I think that was excellent summary of and it's a really good. So we do need to have you in. So we'll need to organize something for 2023. That will be next year.
Lovely.
We need to organize. It will be one of the Tuesdays. So if you think about which Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month, you are free, get in touch with me. Then we organize it. Okay, that'll be excellent.
Okay, dear.
Fantastic.
Anyway, so, I just want to apologize if I have to say, because I have to take my train back to Valencia.
Sure.
And so, okay.
That's okay. Yasmin, would you mind making Rui? Can you make Rui a co-host so Rui can record the Chinese channel, please?
I can do that.
Or you can do it, Ursula, if you don't mind. Thank you. And Francesco, where is it you walking today?
No sé. ¿Ya? ¿Ya podrías poner a Rui como co-host, por favor?
I'm in Milano now, Eric. I just came back from Colombia last week. I'm in Milano now.
Okay.
Hi, Brigitte. Nice to see you again after a long time. After Paris and Milan.
Yes.
Thanks so much for your advice also for the book.
Great, excellent. So we're just waiting for Rui to become a co-host, and then we kick off in that very second. So I'm not sure if Pia was able to make Rui co-host yet. Rui, are you with us? Hello, Rui.
Hi, Eric. I still can't record the screen.
That's okay. We're working on it. You are co-host now. You should be able to record now, Rui. Can you try, please? Rui?
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Excellent. Very good. Excellent. So, hello, Liv. Good to see you.
No.
All right. I think we'll kick off.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I need to pay my coffee.
Okay. I think it might be good at, yeah, great. Okay, Liv, good to see you.
Hi, Liv.
Marie-Luz. Good to see you, Marie-Luz.
Hi.
So just before we go, everybody, we have Catalina and Óscar, but before we start, welcome everyone. What is important as today's talk will be translated into Spanish and Chinese, it is important that you do select the right interpretation channel. And to find the interpretation channel, what you need to do is to go into your Zoom bar and you will find an icon that looks like a globe and there's an interpretation written on it. You click on it and then you either select English, Chinese, or Spanish channel. And it's important you select one of those. So A, you can hear interpretation, but also, even though the talk will be given in English, if anyone will ask question in Spanish or Chinese, then you will be able to hear back into English interpretations of that question, all right? Before we go, would you mind, Ursula, to say this for people,
okay.
Spanish-speaking people, and then
Sure.
we ask Rui to say this also in Chinese. For Chinese-speaking people. Rui, is that okay?
Hola, bienvenidos a todos y todas. Les pedimos que, no, les contamos que esta charla será traducida al español y al chino, y para poder escuchar en cada uno de los idiomas, por favor les pedimos que seleccionen en la barra inferior de su pantalla el icono del globo que es de traducción o interpretación. Y seleccionen el canal correspondiente a español, inglés o chino. De esta manera, aunque ustedes entiendan, la charla va a ser dada en inglés, y aunque ustedes entiendan el inglés, van a poder escuchar preguntas en castellano y en chino, ¿ya? Por eso es importante estar en el canal adecuado. Y bueno,
Rui?
esperamos que disfruten la charla.
Rui?
嗨，各位来自中国的听众，如果大家想要收听中文的翻译的话，可以点击下面的圆形的小图标，然后在收听语言里面呢点击中文，就可以听我们中文的同声传译了。好的，谢谢。
Fantastic. So if you can all select the right channel, that'll be great. And Rui, you need to go into the Chinese channel so you record the Chinese audio. Ursula, you're recording, I presume, the Spanish audio, and I'm going to add the English audio. So, and once we have done this, then I would like to ask Ursula if you could introduce the network, please. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Eric. Well, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone, everywhere. My name is Úrsula Bravo from Universidad del Desarrollo in Chile. On behalf of the Design Literacy International Network, I want to welcome and thank Catalina and Óscar, who have kindly accepted our invitation to deliver this talk number 23. We want to also thank the institutions that support these and other activities of our network: Shandong University of Arts and Design in China, Oslo Metropolitan University in Norway, and Universidad del Desarrollo in Chile. Design Literacy International Network seeks to bring together scholars worldwide to discuss and build shared knowledge about the design literacy theoretical concepts and empirical phenomena. Until now, we have organized 2 special issues and engaged with idea talk cycles with these 23 events, which have involved more than 30 authors coming from different countries. Design Literacy International Network holds a critical approach based on Paulo Freire work. Under this perspective, being literate means reading the world in all its complexity and participating with autonomy and self-determination to generate social transformations. According to Nielsen and Branner, the value of cultivating design literacy amongst the general public is to get the critical mass of users and recognize their capacity to transform current unsustainable patterns of mass consumption and opt into more sustainable ways of being. We have the conviction that design has the capacity not only to contribute to the material world, but also through its educational approaches to produce the people who will create tomorrow's worlds. Finally, on behalf of Design Leaders International Network, I would like to thank all the people who make this series of talk possible, especially Pia Álvarez from Universidad del Desarrollo, the translators Jasmine Silva and In Wan, and Malin Thunder from Oslo Met in the post-production of the videos. Catalina y Óscar, welcome again, and the screen is yours.
Thank you, Ursula. I'm going to share my screen. There. Is it okay for everybody? Yes? Okay.
Perfecto.
Super. Oscar?
Well, yes, I begin.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much for inviting us, and we're glad to be here. So let's go on with the presentation. Next, please.
Hey.
Well, this is us. We work in different universities, similar kind of job, academia, academic work, teaching, research, writing, etc. We're going to present some.
Are you both designers as a background, Oscar?
Yes, we are.
And product designers, both of you?
No. We went to a school that really considers everyone a designer with no special title. But the truth is that at least I've been more involved in communication design or visual communication, and Oscar has been more involved in product design. So
yes, the profile of the school is to have an integral approach to design. So Ursula also attended the same school. We're former classmates. Next, please. Well, a little bit of background. Maybe you are familiar with the extended producer responsibility, or maybe not, so I'm going to explain a little bit about this. This quotation here says it's a strategy to minimize the environmental impact of product waste by making the manufacturer responsible for the product throughout its life cycle, especially at the end of life stage. So this was proposed at some point and began to be part of reality, I would say, in Germany, year 1991. So basically, all the recycling schemes that you know is part of this idea of extended producer responsibility. On the right side, we can see a product life cycle circular diagram, which shows the complete life cycle of just any product. This could be applicable to any product. You can see that there are some magenta arrows and words which represent, let's say, nature. And then we have this circle, which is basically the technosphere. Then we have, you can see several stages: extraction of raw materials, manufacturing and production of a product, packaging and distribution, use and maintenance, disposal. So at the end of life of the product, here comes the disposal, and the EPR focuses on this stage. Yeah, as you would imagine, the environmental impact derived of the product comes from all the stages, not just the end of life, let's say. Still, EPR solves this problem of disposal. You can see there that some green arrows appear, and basically this shows recycling of materials and components or reuse of waste, in some way that it still becomes part of the economy, let's say. like that. Then there is a magenta arrow going out of the circular system, which goes to nature again, and there you can see incineration and landfilling. Yeah, I guess all of you are familiar with some of these terms. You have them in your countries, and we have also systems that are a bit similar. Next, please. So the extended producer responsibility in Chile, let's say the law was enacted in 2016 and it's still yet to be fully enforced. For instance, for packaging, it will be enforced in next year, you know, for tires, they have different dates. So basically the producer, when you say the extended producer responsibility, who is the producer? The producer is the one who sells the product for the first time in the national territory. So it may be someone who actually produces something, or it could be somebody who imports something if they sell it in the national territory, you know? So this is how the producer is defined. Then there are what the so-called, I would say, priority products, which are products subject to the law. Lubricant oil, electric and electronic equipment, batteries, packaging, tires, cells, and batteries. You know, I guess you are familiar with some of these items, and they may be subject to EPR laws in your countries as well. And why these products are here? Well, because they are not the best of show in terms of environmental problems related to the end of life stage. And in the case of some of them are toxic, some of them are massive, not really toxic, like packaging. It's not toxic generally, but it's massive. So these are the products that we have. Then reading the law, well, I don't know if most of you or many of you are designers, but I am, and it caught my attention reading the law, the mention of eco-design, which was something that I had studied in the past when I did my PhD a while ago, and I found this eco-design. It says integration of environmental aspects in the design of a product, packaging, labeling, or others, with the aim of diminishing the environmental externalities throughout their life cycle. So it caught my attention the use of eco-design and life cycle as well. Life cycle is also defined in the law in a different paragraph. So it was very interesting to see that there. It was like good, I think, positive. It's very positive that these concepts are here. And of course, you know, there may be a potential opportunity for designers, since something that is very designed, like as eco-design, is in the law. So somebody may wonder what eco-design is. Here we brought a definition that is, I like it very much because it's I don't know, there are several definitions. This one is very good in my opinion. But basically it means including the environmental aspects in the product planning, development, and design process at the earliest possible opportunity. Then, environment is added as a criterion of product development alongside other classical criteria of functionality, profitability, safety, reliability, ergonomics, technical feasibility, and last but not least, aesthetics. All concepts that are very common in design, within the design disciplines. We have been taught or worked on these things maybe a lot. And here it says you just need to add this concern at the beginning, just like the other ones. Well, then it finishes by saying that the eco in eco-design not just means ecological, but also economic, which is a thing that is very important. You know, economic is basically human beings, the ones that make the economy. So we are as well there.
Could I ask you a question before you move on,
yes.
Oscar? I mean, this is something about, I mean, it's a really, you know, it's a positive definition about, eco design. But if we go, that means a good design, right? Means there was good design. Designers don't do bad designs, do they? And Ettores, Scottas, and all the famous designers do good designs. Johnny Ive and so on, right? So what I'm kind of wanting to kind of pick out of this is about actually having a definition, good design, in the definition. Somehow, then we need to redefine actually what good design means. And I think that's maybe it's not what's we're missing with these definitions is about actually thinking about what we mean by good design, or what we mean by at the earliest convenience, because earliest convenience can be 20 years after you design something, you produce something, and then you go, we need to do something about this. It's the same like you have a nuclear power station, and it is only now the countries who are decommissioning the nuclear power atomic power stations going, oh my God, what are we going to do with all this now, right?
Exactly. I think that observation is you're totally right. And so the good thing here is that it says at the earliest possible opportunity. So, and I guess all designers are familiar with this, because when you do design something, you do it at the beginning, before the product exists, because you are designing it, correct? So you are at the beginning. Maybe that the product was planned or thought about before that by in different moments of the product's life, let's say, or by different people who are not designers, whatever. Many decisions are made and products are made. But here they incorporate this environmental aspects in the product, just like the art one. So I thought it was a good thing to do. Then, next please. I'm not reading the chat. So if you want at any point, Eric, you can stop us and we can read some of I'm not reading the chat. I'm just concentrating here. Well, eco-design. Some of you also are very familiar with the diagram that we have on the right, correct? This work was produced in Delft University a while ago. And basically, there is this proposal of eco-design strategy wheel. It shows, as you can see, these boxes, but you can read new concept development, then product component level, product structure level, product system level, okay, like the headings. And then we have, for instance, under product component level, selection of low impact materials, a list of things that can make this happen, like cleaner materials, renewable materials, lower energy content materials, recyclable materials, For all the strategies, I would say the ones with number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them, we have like specific actions, I would say, of how to do this, to comply with this strategy. These are design strategies. And then it says another example, reduction of materials usage, then optimization of production techniques. Here we have all the materials and production, and then you have optimization of distribution systems. So a little bit downstream, once the product is sold, goes elsewhere. Things travel all over the world these days. So distribution system, and then reduction of impact during use. Then we have optimization of initial lifetime, and then optimization of end-of-life system. So basically, we see also here a structure very much like the life cycle circular diagram. So basically, these strategies address specific life cycle stages of the product, which is a good way to reduce the environmental impact of a product, because impacts occur in every stage. So with this in mind, you can do it very, very well and easily. Let's say also that the specific phrases that are used here all of them. For instance, reliability and durability, easier maintenance and repair, modular product structure. This wording was very carefully made. It's part of a long project, you know, with different people working. This has been refined a lot. So when it was published, it was already very, very good. This is accurate and totally usable until today. Nothing needs to be changed to use this. You know, it's very, very well. This is downloadable from, it's in the public domain. You have the citation there, and it can be downloaded easily, and you can just use this to design whatever. You know? Well, you can see there's also a spider web diagram on the center, and basically tries to show if the impact is less, I mean, if the product is better or worse in terms of the environmental performance per life cycle stage. You know, because of the lines, you can see the points, and then these areas are drawn there, so they could be compared. Can we see next one, please?
It's just observation there. It's quite amazing that, you know, this has been thought about in 1997, and we are in 2022, and community groups like farmers, for example, need to lobby governments to enable them to be able to fix their tractors. And because the company is actually designing tractors now, for example, or the farming machinery that are locked in, you know, by the software, and only the company can fix the tractor. Nobody else can fix the tractor, right? You can't fix it yourself. So if you want to change spark plug, bad luck. You have to get the company to change your spark plug. And the same thing goes with Apple, for example. If you want to change your screen, no way you can change your screen. You have to go to the Apple authorized reseller. And it's amazing that, you know, this was in 1997, you know, thought about. We are 2022, and the companies who on the websites would say how green they are, producing products which cannot be fixed, more or less. They're all glued together. You can't repair them. You can't do anything with them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I would maybe taking this opportunity, continuing education course was created within a university context. And this is for professionals. I mean, grown-ups who work in companies, and this work is specifically for the packaging sector. Why packaging? Because of the 6 product categories that are subject to the law, packaging is more like designed, you know, because the others are a bit like commodities. Let's say oil, you know, tires, batteries. Of course, batteries are designed, tires also. But this is packaging. It's a little more, you know, complex and many more interactions with the people, with the body, you know, every one of us. It's not like the other ones, not like the other kind of products. So the idea was to teach these professionals to some eco-design concepts that they could use to design new packaging products for the future that are able to comply with the law. Because if the law says that you need to valorize or recycle a certain amount of packaging, for instance, a food producer sells their product in packaging, and they will need to comply with certain amounts to be recycled in the future. So some things are not recyclable because they were not thought to be recycled at the beginning. So no, you know, and if you don't think that this will be recycled in the future when you are designing the product, you may like put together, for instance, 2 materials that cannot be separated again, and cannot then be recycled because they contaminate each other. You know, it's different if you use, like, I don't know, just one material, or 2 materials that are easily detachable, or include the information about what plastic is that, or just many other things can be done while designing the products to enable this good waste management at the end of life of that product. So where to get the students from? well, there is a strong packaging industry association in Chile, which gathers most of the largest, of course, international, local, and international packaging producers. And this association, well, there was a partnership between the university and this association to do this project. And the students go to the course, and then they deliver a final project in which they actually use what they learned and put it into a product. You know, and this is an example. Cata will explain later this in more depth, but here you can see a picture of an example of what was produced in that course. This course had several versions, but then at some point was this version 2020, and this is where this project comes from. So it's interesting in that sense. You can see there on that table, we have sessions 1 to 10. It goes like from up to down, and the contents and the different activities. Basically, one Friday morning, 4 hours class, 2 hours between lecture and questions, and then 1 hour for 2 more hours to work on a specific exercise to use what was learned in the previous module. And who were the instructors? People working on relevant stuff like the Ministry of the Environment, UN Global Compact, people working on the fields. These are not academics. There's nothing wrong with having academics teaching here, but I don't know, we were looking for the instructors, and maybe the best appeared in some places that were just not in the universities. So they came to work on this. Well, next please. So the outcome of this version was a project with several, I believe there were 6 different groups, 6 different projects. And this was what we took as a case study to conduct this research. So I finish for now, and Kata will tell you what is next.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So the objective of the study was to inquire about the integration of these eco-design strategies in food packaging for real products. They were case studies. It was not necessarily that they were going to apply them immediately in industry, but we made special emphasis in the compliance with the EPR, and also in the, I would say, in the value of interdisciplinary teams. So what were our questions? First, if the design solutions proposed by the students incorporate eco-design in some way, we wanted to know in which way or what would they apply of all that we had seen on the course, and also if the proposed packaging solutions could be incorporated into waste management systems in order to comply with the law. So we had 6 teams. Each of these teams was composed by a mixture of people coming from industry, paper, plastic, and glass, metal also, the companies. We arranged these groups to combine different jobs, I would say, like managers, technicians, designers. Some of them were designers, not too many, and also combine their areas of expertise. So there you can see more or less the mixture that we made. And these are the selected products that each one of the groups decided to study. So they had to choose one of these existing packaging products, and the constraints were that they had to consider the COVID-19 pandemic as a context, because there were many more packaging come out because of this, and one-use packaging especially. So we were concerned about what this would make. And also they had to define a specific group of consumers as the target market for the product. And that was very interesting to see, because this all of these executives or account managers, they were not used to analyze a user or a user's needs or behaviors. So, and they really managed to see that in a very deep way. So all of their responses were very, very connected to the needs of the users, but at the same time, being able to comply with what we needed to comply with at all. So we made two different kinds of assessments as methods. We had one quantitative aspect, which was evaluating the end product. They had to deliver a very a big final review, you would say. So we had some specialists to analyze this, and those on the right are all of the assessment criteria that we used. It was a simple Likert scale with 5 different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, 5 different levels of compliance. And also we did also a qualitative analysis based on how each of the groups, I would say how each of the groups led their design process. So we focused especially in 3 main moments, I would say, or phases. Diagnose problem framing, exploring and defining what would be the solution, and also delivering this final proposal. So we had special tools that we use that are not necessarily related to the eco-design official, I would say, official method, but that helped us for the participants to be able to see some of the aspects or connect, for example, user needs with technical opportunities. So we're doing still analyzing this very, very huge and detailed matrix about all of the work that we received. So what we're doing here is trying to look at the process divided on those aspects that you see on the right, and then we can compare and see how decisions were made and based on what aspects. So it's very interesting to see it in this like longitudinal way, because you can understand many of the design decisions. So about the results, we have 2 examples that we want to show you. Among these 6, it's not necessarily the best solutions, but we feel they illustrate what the course was about. So this is the classic melt pizza box. It's a cardboard box. It also contains a secondary container, which is the thermal backpack that the delivery person brings the pizza in. It has some attributes as keeping the product's temperature for 30 to 45 minutes, preserves the product nicely enough, and it facilitates the handling when moving the product, keeps heat, and it's simple in the sense of it's only printed in 1 color. So you could say, or looking at it, you could think this is pretty good and recyclable, for example. That was what I thought before. So for me, it was amazing to see and to know the different truths. So some of the insights that the group had were, for example, that food is one of the worst contaminants when it comes to recycling paper or cardboard, which I didn't know, at least. So all of the oil in the cardboard makes it not be able to recycle. So there's no sense of having it done in cardboard in the first place, because you still cannot recycle it. Then the packaging today does not provide safety characteristics. That was based mostly on the COVID aspect of the project. So they wanted to make a packaging that could be separated into individual pieces without everybody putting their hand in the box, because that was the problem. And also this is associated with the new ways of consuming, and so they figured a situation where people would be going to work at their office, still working at their offices, and wanted to order a pizza because they need to eat and they want to eat fast, but they don't want to share it because they don't want everybody touching it. So that was more or less the situation. Óscar, go ahead.
Thank you. So this this group, they deliver several things, and we like to show this slide, which shows something that is interesting, because they represent the product with all the processes that are made for it. So you can see, for instance, you can see upper and left parts. It says upstream on green. This is in Spanish. Raw materials, production of paper, forest management, production of packaging, recovery of paper, second-hand paper. Then we have core in blue. These are processes. Production of glue, the machine that corrugates the paper, and then to make the cardboard, the corrugated cardboard, and then cutting this and make it into a box, for instance. You know. Mm-hmm. And then here they have like waste to the side. And then downstream on yellow, the three drawings have this same structure: upstream, core, and downstream. Downstream, what happens afterwards, which is distribution, use, and end of life. People, you know, after the product is used and it becomes waste. So core in every of these cases would be what the group was actually managing more closely. So if you are the owner of the factory that does something and you want to show your product, your core processes are the ones that you conduct on site for your product, you know. And then you have an upstream, things that come from elsewhere to enter the system, and then you have a downstream, what happens to the product afterwards. It leaves the factory, for instance. So these are three examples that they presented for this work.
And what are the differences, Óscar, between those three in terms of the core? So the first one is the one as they do it now, or mm-hmm. or is it just a three variations they came up with a new ideas?
These are three things. The first one on the left upper side is the actual box, that the one they use today. Then below that, it is the thermal backpack, you know, where the guy puts the pizza boxes, they close it, and they hang it here, and they go to a motorcycle to deliver it at home or wherever. Mm-hmm. And then the one on the right is the one that they proposed, is their proposal. That's it.
And the one they propose, how does it differ from the original box? In what ways? Sorry, I just can't.
Yeah, we're gonna show you. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sorry, I'm too ahead of myself.
Better afterwards. Well, I mean to explain this as well. For the case that they designed, they included this spider web diagram to show how the product was behaving in environmental terms. The original product and their proposal. So the original product is the blue, mm-hmm. and the orange is the one they proposed. And I would say that here you can see, for instance, that the area covered by the orange lines is bigger than the other one. So let's say this expresses positive level of achievement on that specific item. For instance, selection of raw materials, reduction of material use, optimization of production techniques, optimization of distribution system, reduction of impact during use. You know, around the wheel, you can see these several strategies. So the area shows the level of behavior on that specific one. It could be the case that this could be done just the other way around and show that the area is the environmental footprint, maybe, in which case the area is smaller, it's better, and but this is not the case. Here it's better if the area is bigger.
So what they decided to do about this pizza packaging was to optimize the use life by changing the material first. So they decided to use this molded pulp material, which is recyclable, and they also decided to include a paper layer to separate the food from the box, so that the oil would not get to the box. And also this has different here like separations, so you can cut it with the box together because it's soft to just cut it. So you can cut it and you can get your piece with your piece of box also. And then we were discussing if each one of the pieces should be wrapped separately in a piece of paper, but initially this was the idea. So what can you get out of just these minor, you would say, changes, because it's nothing that complex? This molded pulp has a greater capacity to retain heat, so it prevents consumers from reheating the pizza once it gets home. All of these things are very interesting to see because they can be able to achieve only if you have this kind of group with experts in each one of the areas. Like, for example, for me at least, all of these were surprises because I don't know. So if I am a packaging designer in a company and I don't know any of these, then I would probably make lots of mistakes, which I could avoid and still have a very aesthetic design as a result. So the new shape also adapts to the shape of the product. We were discussing with them a lot about why the pizza box is square, you know? It doesn't need to be square, and then the pizza moves inside and sometimes it gets damaged during the transportation. Also, the seed paper that they included is a paper that you can, afterwards, you can just rip it off, and then you can put it in the soil and you can have plants growing from it. So that was like an extra interesting aspect they decided to include. And also that the mechanical pulp has a shorter fabrication time and requires less fiber for its manufacture. So they reduce the amount of material used in the packaging also. So if you think about the wheel and all of the different strategies, what I found very interesting is that if you know that you can intervene in any of those moments, not necessarily in all of them, but in any of those moments, you can reduce the impact of the packaging. And they could even show us in numbers how that reduces, because they had all of that information, which we not necessarily have. And then this is the second example. This is Malva chalk. All of our Chilean friends might have eaten one of these. I don't eat it because I hate marshmallows, but okay, most people eat these. And it's marshmallows covered with chocolate. They are all wrapped in 5 different colors with aluminum foil, and this foil comes from China. It's not available in Chile. And then it comes in a polypropylene bag, which is printed, and it's transported in cardboard boxes. Also, it comes from Viña del Mar, which is maybe an hour and a half away from Santiago, but during the summertime, they need to make all of the transport cooler because they can melt. So there's also an energy extra problem there. The nutrition information is printed in the box, and yeah, as I was saying, the temperature needs to be no more than 24 degrees. So the group analyzed the actual packaging in the 3 moments that we described before: the upstream, the core, and the downstream, and they kind of made this diagram to look at all of the moments. So afterwards, they discovered some interesting aspects. These are only some of what they discovered, but first, the flexible PP bag cannot be recycled in Chile because there are no systems available. So that goes directly to the landfill. That was a very shocking news for me. Then in the wrapping process, you need 5 different machines because it's 5 different colors, but the flavors are all the same. So it makes not necessarily a lot of sense to have all these different colors, but the users really appreciated the colors, and they like to wrap the different colors and make figures with the different papers. So it was something that we would say that they valued from the product. And also that there is an excessive operational loss because of this aluminum packaging process, because it also breaks easily. And so many of the aluminum foil is discarded before it's even used. So we had a problem with this packaging. So what they decided to do, they looked at all the process as I showed before. So they decided to take a look at the materials they were using first, also considering the recyclability of those materials. They also decided to integrate functions. For example, in the boxes that they transport, they can also be used as exhibition boxes, for example, instead of just having the box and then throwing it away, like just the second it gets into the grocery store, for example. And also in the use, they also, and this was also very interesting, they had to think about the concept, which they are not used to think about because it's very technical. So how is this gonna be used, and what is gonna be the experience of the user now that they don't have the papers to play with? Or so that was also a thing. So what they decided to do was do this box. It's like a cardboard box printed that you can recycle, and they decided to keep the colors just to maintain that playful aspect of this product. And they designed also a game that you could play, because as we were in the pandemic and we were at home, so kids could play with their parents and you can earn some prizes. So you get one of these different colors if you guess some question or do some activity. I think it was also related to moving more. So if kids did some of the things that the card would say, then they could eat only one of these. There's another detail of and here you can see that there was a designer in this team, obviously, because they managed to include all of the information in the box, which is a lot. So coming to the end, what are our main conclusions about all of these results? So, well, first, I would say we, all along the process, we would be thinking about these different concepts. So we had design literacy on one hand, which is the skills, mentalities of designers. We also have ecological literacy, which is more focused on school, teaching school children how to understand sustainability. And also we have design for sustainability, which is more focused on the education that designers receive or should receive about sustainability. And then we have these two different word compositions, you could say, that is sustainability literacy of designers. So how much sustainably literate designers are, and then also design literacy for sustainability. So how can we incorporate all of these sustainability, even behavioral aspects, into what we call design literacy? So we've been going through that idea. We're not the first or anything. There's a lot of publications around these two different topics, but we're very interested in looking at that more deeply, because we feel that if sustainability is not incorporated into design literacy as a basic or fundamental skill, then makes not necessarily that much sense to transfer design literacy as we know it, without considering that. So, future projects, Óscar?
We were reflecting about the experience and thinking about what could be done next. We also received some questions. We presented this work at the DRS, the last DRS conference, and some people were asking questions. So we took that into consideration to maybe outline some things that could be done for the future.
Sorry.
So
sorry.
They wanted to know, for instance, and we put it here, what will happen with those students in the future? Will they work on something similar to this? Were they able to actually apply this within the context of the company in which they work? Something that could be done. These projects were not meant to be produced. They are just, like would say, academic projects, in the sense that they are not meant to be produced. But it is very much with the feet on the ground, because the people working on the projects, all of them work in packaging companies. You know, we were surprised by the facts that they brought. For instance, they knew a lot how paper is made, how the pulp is made, and
everything.
So they could know really where the problems were.
Yeah, and also with this, we discovered things. Sorry, Óscar, but I remember the case of the ice cream. You know, if you only not glue the label you have on top of the plastic container, if you just use it just like a belt or close it in any other way that's not pasting the paper, then you can recycle both. But if you paste it, you can't. So it's things like that. It's basic, very simple changes that in the terms of design, they are almost invisible. They are invisible, but they make a huge difference. So at least for me, that was very inspiring, and I felt that kind of working in this area, you can really make an impact and a change because of that small detail. So I hope we keep on working together in the future so we can look at this more deeply. Well, we're gonna do the course again this summer, so yeah.
I guess that's it.
Yeah. Yes.
That was very fascinating.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was very good, and thank you both, Catalina and Oscar, for taking us through. And yeah, it was really interesting about such a simple things, having an oil in a cardboard box, you can recycle it. And yeah, it's there's just so much knowledge one needs to have in order to be, implement something so simple that it actually can, this material can be done with it. And you can imagine, so if it's so complicated, the process just with a cardboard box, how much more complicated it would be with something that actually have 2 or 3 materials, or you go to your mobile phone and so on, right? So I do remember there was a debate, there's still debates. It's about whether actually electric cars are any better to the other cars, for example, in terms of the environment. So there's a still debate going about that also. So but why don't we go to questions? Maybe have 5 minutes. Any questions anybody might have? Francesco, Mariluz, Gabriela. But I have a question, and my question is about what I would like to know is, and I've popped it in, it was about the diagram you had of the upstream, downstream. Did you actually made it, or was it actually all of those images you had, were they actually from the class you brought in?
Everything is from the
Students made it.
Because they look very good. Lots of them look very good, and so it shows that the visual literacy is not only visual literacy, they would have to have also software literacy, because they would have been done on computers and so on. So they,
it was pretty impressive, because we didn't expect. There was maybe 1 or 2 designers in 2 of the teams, so the others were all engineers, or and they made all of these amazing renderings of the products. So we were like, I thought like, oh my god, if these people have the tools, we don't need us anymore. They can just do the job.
So before I go to Liv, I think Liv has a question. I can see it yes, I can see you maybe not, but just have a question about this pizza box. It was quite amazing. Is anything going to happen with that? Is it in the pipeline, or is it just going to be put on a shelf and think what a great product, but nothing's going to happen with it? And if nothing's going to happen with it, why not? That's my kind of subsequent question.
Yeah, I think maybe if something was to happen, then the group of students would have to move that forward, because it's their own creation. So I think they could approach the company and just say, you're gonna be responsible for this next year. You might want to consider our proposal. So yeah, it's gonna happen, because companies are gonna be on top of with the problem on top of them very soon. So that's why this is very relevant. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we've been thinking about how to do the course, but at the same time be able to move forward the projects, to the real world. There was a project, for example, that the only change was to cut, Oscar, this case you told me, cut these different, these plastic bags where you put the vegetables in the grocery store, just cut them like a little bit smaller, because everybody would never fill them, so you had a bit of bag that you were not using. Just making that change, it was huge difference in money and in amount of material. So, and that was discovered by one of the other groups a year ago, 2 years ago, no?
Yeah, I mean, for example, I know in some countries they make the core for the toilet paper very big, So what happens is when you buy toilet paper, it looks that you're buying a lot, but actually you're buying a lot of air. And now, now they're selling a new, more environmentally friendly toilet paper, and all they've done, they reduce the core, so it's smaller diameter, right? So they don't selling you the air, and they are making a big fuss because they can pack more toilet paper in a truck. So yeah, it's lots of these things, you know, were designed because of marketing issues rather than anything else also. So could we maybe go to, I think, Ursula, you had a comment you've made in the chat, and then we can go to Daniela.
Yes, it was just a comment. And Catalina knows that what I like the most about this project is to teaching non-designers to design in a sustainable way. And it's interesting the experience and the insight coming from this experience. But maybe, yes, Daniela and also Francesco, do you have any question? Well,
Daniela maybe first, or leave, I don't know.
Okay,
Yes.
Daniela.
Daniela, can we bring you in? You've made a nice comment. All you need to do is just unmute yourself, Danielle. Anyhow, leave. Then we go to Francesco and we try Daniela again.
I didn't have any question, but I can have one. And what we know about, you said something about law in the beginning, and some of the information we get about Chile here in Norway is what is happening in the Atacama Desert.
Oh yeah.
So it sounds so terrible. Is this something that is possible to prevent by law, or is it on international land? Just a comment on that, please.
That is what happens there.
The closest
Several
in
things.
the desert.
First, there is no like natural boundary between three countries in that area. So this is a huge plateau with no visible boundary. One thing.
Okay.
Then it's a place where it's very intensive in migration. People going to and from Peru, Bolivia to Chile, the other way around.
Yes.
Also, there is what we call here zona franca. I don't know how you say in English. Would be like a tax-free zone. You know,
It's an area without control.
No, well, that's another problem also. It's huge. It's difficult to control. I mean, of course, the police goes there, but what happens is that because this is the tax exemption for the things that are imported that go there, we have two main places in Chile where this happens: the extreme north and the extreme south.
Okay.
So lots of goods come from elsewhere and go from Chile elsewhere as well because of this tax exemption. So it happens that a lot of clothes, second-hand clothes, come from different countries and get there to this area. And they, of course, most of that is used and sold or bought by different smaller retailers that sell it to the public. And then a lot of waste is produced as well, some stuff that is, I don't know, too big that nobody can use. So, and they discover this once they buy these packs of clothes, and they discover what is inside when they open it, and some of the things they don't want, and they just drop it in the desert, which should not be done, you know, but people do it. And another interesting thing about this is that the clothing, especially, could be a priority product of the EPR. It may be in the future, more products.
Yeah, last year in September, there was I saw some news that the next priority item coming in the law would be clothing.
Okay.
Textiles.
No, nice to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I think it's Francesca.
I'm not sure if Francesco, you have any comment, and then we might, if anybody else has no comment, that we might close the section. Francesco?
The only things that I want to say is congratulations to the team. Very done, well done, absolutely. And also you were able to express also the reason why now you want to educate. Of course, my approach maybe is unuseful, and I don't know if there is a sense to say something like this after the great presentation. For example, in this moment, I'm reading the last book of the philosopher Baichulan, is Praise for the Earth, no? With the idea to stop production, reduce production, but this is another story. This is something much more philosophical, and maybe we need another platform. But I don't want to raise attention to the fantastic presentation. Well done, Oscar. I didn't met you before. Catalina, fantastic. The presentation, the idea to work with the students, the idea also to educate some company. Because this kind of pizza that is not the typical Italian pizza is an American pizza, but with the idea to use this packaging and also to propose the packaging in much more educative way, nothing to say. Well done, congratulations. But there are a lot of things to discuss related to the sense also during the pandemic, to buy online, to buy a lot of boxes online, to shipping food at home. But this again is much more philosophical, and maybe we need another platform to discuss about this. Thanks so much and congratulations. Always a great nurturing experience to follow in this talk.
Thank you, Francesco. Mariluz?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Francesco. Can I say something to Francesco?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I share your concern. I think I know what you mean. But then the thing is that the whole thing of the APR focuses on just the waste. So to begin with, that is just a portion of the impact of the product. And another thing that I tell my students, and they are often surprised to know this, that many times the greatest impact does not come from packaging, it comes from the product. So that's another, area. In this case, this is food. We work with food for this case, but and people were knowledgeable of some things that was useful for the projects. But then packaging is used for many kinds of products, and many times the products have much more impact than the packaging. So still, it's it's kind of sad, but so many things to make, so many changes to make. Basically, that's my observation. So thank you, Francesco.
Thanks to you.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you because it's not very close to my field, but I think it was really inspiring and also challenging for us, thinking from my side, that is services, thinking on how from designing services also we can include the reduction of the waste or everything that can make or create more waste, or I don't know, anything. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you for attending this month's talk. Next month, we'll have Nina Terry, and she'll be discussing her study she has done in tax office, with a tax office in Australia. And she'll be discussing about the paradoxes of trying to embed design approaches in a tax office. You can imagine, so a tax office, very bureaucratic, huge organization. Wow. And I think it's going to be very interesting talk. Since then, Nina has set up a company that focuses on design, for social change and services, and they expanded in different parts of the world. But they'll be focusing very much so on the very beginning of her study that she did in 2000, finished it in 2012, and it was about trying to incorporate design into a tax office in Australia. So we'll see you next month, the first month of the Tuesday. Thank you, Ursula, for introducing the network. Thank you, Catalina and Oscar, for really fascinating talk. Thank you, Pia, for organizing and managing the Zoom. And thank you, the interpreters, for doing the interpretation.
Yeah.
And have a good night where you are. Have a good day in the east, and have a good evening if you are around the kind of the European time zone. So okay.
Okay.
We'll see you next month.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Peace.